I want to tell you a story. I just heard this story recently. Thank you. That's true. I have a story that sort of confirms this. I just heard this story on Shavuos. On every Yom Tov, there's a taluch of Lubavitcher Shluchim that walk from Crown Heights all the way to Flatbush, all the way to Mill Basin. Hundreds, maybe, of young men who have the strength to take that walk, and they always stop at different shuls and they see over a Dvar Torah from the Rebbe. Okay, but I'm politically correct. I let them come and speak. One of the older Chassidim always comes with an interesting story. Tell me, he says, this is a story. They just received this letter this last year in Crown Heights. A letter from a woman who told the following story of her life. She grew up in a modern Orthodox family. And right when she was about to become bat mitzvah, her parents sat down with her. Said, "We want to let you know that you were adopted. We adopted you as a baby. You're our child. We wanted you to know because since we have to go when you adopt a non-Jewish child, you have to go to the Beis Din. And when the child is 12 years old, they have to reconfirm their commitment to be part of Klal Yisrael. So we were going to take you to the Beis Din and reconfirm your Jewish identity." And she was shocked. You never told me. You never told me that I was adopted all these years. I had no idea. How could you not tell me? He said, "Well, we felt that it was better for you just to know that you, as we feel, you are our child. We just, because halacha, we have to tell you this so that you should become..." She says, "Well, how do you know I want to be Jewish? Maybe I don't want to be Jewish. And I feel betrayed. I feel that you have been dishonest with me. I don't know what I want to do." Anyway, this went around and went around. And somebody told them they should, that maybe they should go ask the Lubavitcher Rebbe when he was still alive. This is the way she writes. My parents took me to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And he met with us. And then he told my parents, "Please leave the room. I want to talk to your daughter alone." And he sat down with her and he told her, my daughter, "I want you to know that you're Jewish. Your natural parents were Jews. They were killed in a car accident. And you were given to adopt by people who knew to another Jewish family. So if you go to the Beis Din or you don't go to the Beis Din, you're Jewish anyway. So I'm asking you only three things. One, that you should keep Shabbos, kashrus, and come to see me once a year." And she said, in her mind, she thought that maybe he's making this up just so she should feel good, but at least it helped her. Okay. When she was about 18 years old, and by the way, in those days you couldn't even get any records about adoption, so she had no way to know how the Lubavitcher Rebbe knew that. When she was about 18, 19 years old, her adopted parents died. And the next time she went to Crown Heights to see the Rebbe, she was standing outside of his room, and he comes out of his room, and he stops, he recognizes her, and he turns to her and says, "How are you?" And she turned to him and she said, "Why? Why? Why does this happen to me?" And he told her, "My daughter, I want you to understand that your natural parents were not Torah observant. Had you been raised by them, you would have never kept Shabbos and Kashrus. The reason why you had to be adopted was because your neshama needed to have Shabbos and Kashrus, so please keep your commitment to Shabbos and Kashrus." She heard it. She said she wrote that she accepted that. And when she was 21, she was able to access her natural birth records. And she found and traced back the cemetery where her Jewish parents were buried. And they both died at the same day. On their Matzeva, it said they both died the same day. And she checked it out. So it was true. They both died in a car accident, and she was given over to adoption to another Jewish family who were willing to adopt a Jewish child. Okay, so she moved upstate to one of the little towns upstate New York. And she kept Shabbos. She didn't turn on lights. She didn't go to shul. There wasn't any shul around where she was, but she made sure that she just, she would meditate, she would relax, she'd go for walks. She kept Shabbos that way. And for kasher, she made a commitment that she was going to be vegetarian, so she didn't really too worry about what she was going to eat because she was vegan. Before Pesach, the Lubavitcher Rebbe called in the shliach, who was in that region, and he says, here's a box of matzahs. I want you to go find a Jew in that town and give them this box of matzahs. He didn't give him a name. He didn't tell him if it was a woman or a man. He didn't give an address. He told a town. Shliach went to that town and started asking around, are there any Jews here? And nobody knew if there was any Jews. And then finally one woman said, you know what, I think there is one woman who might be Jewish here, because on Sunday, the whole town goes to church. And she doesn't go. So I think maybe she's Jewish. So he got her name and address, and knocked on the door, carrying a box of matzahs. And she opened the door, and here's this Lubavitcher shliach standing there, says, yes, what do you want? He says, are you Jewish? She says, yes. Well, who are you? Why are you here? He says, I don't know. The Lubavitcher Rebbe sent me with a box of matzahs to find one Jew who was living in this town, and I asked around, and they told me that you are probably Jewish because you're the only person in the whole town who doesn't, on Sunday morning, doesn't show up. So here's this box of matzahs. So she writes at the end of this letter, she says, I want you to know that week, I was feeling really lonely, and I figured I have no real social life. The only place that there is social life in this town is on Sunday morning. I figured maybe, I'll go just to have some social life with the people. But you showed up with a box of matzahs, and the way that they were able to know that I was Jewish was because I didn't go on Sunday morning. And so therefore I made my commitment that I would never go. And I would remain Jewish. It's a beautiful story. This letter just came in this last year. Netzach Yisroel lo Yishakar, the identity of who we are as Jews will never be lost. No matter who we are, no matter where we are, our identity as Klal Yisrael will never be lost. And it belongs to you. The chain of Klal Yisrael and Torah is one that every one of us have a possibility of making connection.